Welcome to Film Fritter, where we chart stories while drinking quality brews. And today we are going to be going over everything, everywhere, all at once. We're going to be doing this while drinking Where Our Secrets Go by Voodoo Brewing Company. So first, the premise of this film. Evelyn, a Chinese laundromat owner, is at the end of her rope. She's in the middle of an audit that is not going well. Her daughter is on the verge of being estranged, and her husband has just served her with divorce papers. Her father, who is elderly and she is caring for, has always been someone she's sought approval from and has never received it. All of these elements seem to be converging on her at once. She's completely overwhelmed, her back's against the wall, and despair is setting in. Suddenly, a multiverse version of her husband approaches her with an epic quest. Save the universe from an evil version of her daughter by jumping into parallel versions of herself to borrow certain skills, and ultimately save her daughter from herself. Now, the forces of antagonism kind of are divided into two different groups. You have Joy's minions who believe in her nihilistic worldview and serve her ultimately, and then you have the Alphaverse characters who at first are aligned with Evelyn in their mission to deal with Joy. Evelyn wants to save her daughter, and the Alphaverse are just trying to kill her to get rid of the problem. So here we have my overall chart, and as you can see, it's a pretty solid blue line with some spikes in legendary and one elusive glory point, but we'll go into that later. So I found the finale to be a bit chaotic. It was a little too back and forth. Combining of the Alphaverse fighters with Joy's minions made a little bit of a chaotic final battle where they're all trying to stop her from getting her daughter, to prevent her from going into this black hole. Now, for the majority of this film, Evelyn is trying to get through to her daughter, who has kind of taken on a negative, nihilistic worldview after she gained the ability to be in all of her lives and all of the universes all at once, which would overwhelm anyone, which I think can speak to the way that a lot of people feel right now, which brings me to the theme. Life can feel very overwhelming and distracting, and like our focus is being pulled in a dozen different directions. We're filled with a sense of discontentment about whether we're making the most out of our lives. This film portrays that in a world full of infinite possibilities, being present is a choice. We always have a choice to do that hobby, to pursue that passion, to listen to someone when they're trying to tell us something important to them. And it's also talking about appreciating people for who they are, and that we can get so caught up in our own discontentment and so caught up in how life isn't the way we want it to be that we start to despise the people who are around us and find them inadequate. Appreciating people for who they are and realizing when someone is covering us with love, covering us with forgiveness. This film also earns that elusive glory point for when Evelyn realizes the really kind, sweet, and wonderful human being that her husband is. I found that to be probably the best point of the entire movie. This film had a perfect character arc. It ends her character with how she began, being distracted, but instead of being distracted by stress and being overwhelmed with despair, she was overwhelmed in the end with how grateful she was for the people around her. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Now, for the wanting scene. These scenes specifically have to do with humor that is not my style, and I, quite frankly, almost gave one scene a pit rating because that is how bad I found the joke. But, that's me. But besides those scenes, there's plenty of humor to be found here. So if you have an open mind and you don't feel like you could be completely put out by one scene that I would say is in very, very poor taste, then you'll enjoy yourself. It's really creative and weird, and honestly, I'm surprised that they pulled 90% of this film off. I could follow it pretty easily. It takes you on the full journey of human emotion. You are laughing, you're crying, you're disgusted. You might say that your emotions are everywhere all at once. Michelle had an amazing opportunity here to really show the world what she was made of and delivered an absolutely stunning performance. And I'm pretty sure she's in almost every single scene, barring a few that have to do with some other characters in another universe. She's doing all of her own stunts as far as I know. Absolutely incredible. Definitely think Michelle should get a Best Actress nod. Jamie Lee Curtis was absolutely hysterical. So my final ratings are Moment of Truth, 16 legendary points. Michelle's performance, +4 legendary points. The whole cast, +4 legendary points. And then the message of this film is +4 points. The off-putting jokes get -9 points. Yes, that's right. I'm sorry. I don't like it when they show people hurting themselves in weird ways for laughs. It's just not my thing. In a universe where I didn't care about the humor, the percentages would be different, but ultimately the rating is around the same. It's worthy. It might have hit legendary if they had been able to rein it in just a little bit more. So our beer pairing is Where Our Secrets Go by Voodoo Craft Brewery. Imperial Stout, 9% alcohol. That's not bad. That's pretty light-bodied for being a 9% Imperial Stout. I could drink this whole bottle. I didn't, but I could drink the whole thing if I wanted to. Yeah, I would definitely buy that again.